It's just a little bit before 7 right now. Pope Francis remains in critical condition following a respiratory crisis on Saturday. Now, leaders of the faith are speaking out and asking for prayer. Also this hour, what President Trump is saying about the rapid changes that he's making to the federal government and what's to come. This is Weekend Mornings, and once again, we thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Pizarsi here on this Sunday, February the 23rd. And Savannah Brito is in this morning for Jacob Montesano. Good morning, Savannah.
Good morning, Kyle. We've got a warm start already out there pretty much all across the state, so not waking up to frigid temperatures. That's quite a change from what we had just a week ago, and then 24 is where we sit right now. 20 in Boscobel, 26 in La Crosse, 24 in Stevens Point, 23 in Rhinelander. So really, no matter where you're located across the state, waking up to mild temperatures. Our average nighttime temp is in the mid to upper teens, so it's a stretch from that even, and will be mild all day long. Breezy conditions are going to return though to the area. Breezy conditions yesterday, winds were not that big of a factor. Later, especially this evening into tonight, that's when we're going to return to pretty breezy of conditions where winds are going to gust up to about 25 miles per hour. Can't rule out a 30. Patchy fog's going to develop later in the day as well. But overall, pretty nice day. We top out at 39 degrees, so temperatures are going to be back to above average. Our average high is 34. We'll already be about 5 degrees above that heading into later this afternoon, and then even warmer of a day tomorrow. Not impossible. A couple areas even top out at 50, but nonetheless, us here in Madison and most of southern Wisconsin topping out in the mid to upper 40s. It'll feel a lot better out there, Kyle.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right, Savannah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now to our big news story of the day and a live look at St. Peter's Square inside the Vatican. That's where Pope Francis, he remains in critical condition right now, but reportedly had a peaceful night's rest. He has been hospitalized for more than a week and suffered a respiratory crisis on Saturday that required high flows of oxygen. It was on Friday when Madison's Bishop Donald Hine put out a video message to followers of the faith asking people to pray for the Pope's health.
So I just ask that prayers be offered and Mass intentions be remembered as we pray for our Holy Father, that he may know God's healing power, but also just deep peace.
Hine also saying he is praying deeply for the Pope's health and recovery. Meanwhile, New York's Cardinal Timothy Dolan is also weighing in on the Pope's condition. In speaking with the media on Saturday, Dolan said he is worried for Francis and that there is a, quote, feeling of somberness. Dolan further saying in an interview with Fox News that he admires Francis' grit and resilience and is praying for his recovery. Francis was elected Pope by the College of Cardinals back in 2013. President Donald Trump has been in office for a month where he has already started to reshape parts of the federal government, but there have been some pushback to the mass firing of government employees. CBS's Christian Benavidez reports on the firings and response.
Addressing a crowd at the Conservative Political Action Conference, President Trump reveled over his recent changes to the federal government.
It's all about common sense. Over the past month, we've confirmed an all-star team of warriors, patriots, visionaries, and put the America First agenda into action.
Including the mass firing of federal employees. Among those cut, 6,000 IRS employees right in the middle of tax filing season. Though an email obtained by CBS News said the workers were probationary employees and not deemed as critical to filing season, the White House says the job cuts are aimed at streamlining the federal workforce.
And there are many, more than 100,000 people working to collect taxes, and not all of them are fully occupied.
But some of the firings have caused backlash, including in Deep Red, Oklahoma, where Tulsa Congressman Kevin Hern held a town hall and some in attendance spoke out.
Undermining Congress.
Will you call Elon Musk in to testify under oath?
My concern right now, and I think I speak for a lot of Americans, is Elon Musk.
Late Friday night, Trump fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Air Force General C.Q. Brown, along with other senior military leaders. The chairman was the second black general to serve in the role, and his support for diversity and equity in the ranks had been criticized by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. To replace Brown as the nation's highest-ranking military officer, the president has tapped retired Air Force Lieutenant General Dan Kane. Christian Benavidez, CBS News.
And while at CPAC, the president also met backstage with the president of Poland amid discussions over a possible peace deal between Russia and Ukraine. The president also had a conversation Saturday with Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. The two leaders spoke by phone ahead of a virtual gathering of the group of 7 countries on Monday. The two discussed a number of issues that included the Russia-Ukraine war, with Trudeau telling the president he also wants to see the nearly 3-year conflict end. Well, parts of the city of Monona will be waking up without some water this morning, and this is due to a break in a water main. The city is warning homeowners in the areas of the 5200 to 5412 Tanya-Watha Trail that their service will be impacted. And they say homeowners are expected to be without water beginning around 9, and this will last until the repairs are made. Looking around the state now, Saturday was the final day of the American Birkebeiner ski race up north. It takes place each year near Hayward. So last year's men's winner, David Norris, well, he took second place this year. Norris telling KBJR TV that the Birkie is one of the very few reasons why he works so hard to train each and every year.
Waking up early and freezing my toes. I'd probably say the Birkie's the only reason I trained this whole year.
Meanwhile, Sydney Palmer-Lager was the women's winner, and she said the competition seemed to be really in her blood and loved the energy from the fans. It was her first ever time competing in the Birkie. Today is the last day to head on out to the Wisconsin Fishing Expo at the Alliant Energy Center here in Madison. Doors are open today from 9 to 4, and admission is $12 for adults, and kids 12 and under are free. The Wisconsin Fishing Expo is among the largest fishing consumer shows throughout the entire Midwest. Some more local news. A Madison man has completed his goal to run every street here in the city. On Saturday, we met up with David Markle, who takes life just one step at a time. Markle has run in the Boston, Chicago, and Madison marathons, but going down all 3,052 of Madison's streets, well, that has been quite the adventure for him.
I make little maps up sometimes in the winter. This has given me a way to explore the city, get to know the city even more.
Markle started the adventure about 2 years ago, tracking his progress on the app City Strides. And according to that site, those roughly 3,000 streets count as completing Madison. And his next goal is to run every legal road in Dane County. Can't wait to see that. Pin Seekers, a hybrid golf and entertainment venue in DeForest, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The company filed for that in the Western District of Wisconsin court this past week. The venue said in a Facebook post that it will remain open and have secured short-term funding to fully finance its operations. Pin Seekers said it will be able to pay approximately 75 employees all of their wages, salaries, and benefits. The city of Middleton is asking residents to assist in donating to the Red Cross blood drive tomorrow. It is taking place from 1 to 5:15 p.m. at the Middleton City Hall. Residents can schedule their appointments by calling 1-800-RED-CROSS or by visiting the Red Cross website. In other health news, the FDA says Ozempic and Wegovy, the popular GLP-1 drugs for diabetes and weight loss, are no longer in short supply. CBS's Ali Bauman reports that this could actually lead to consumers paying much more.
You've seen the ads everywhere. Off-brand versions of GLP-1 drugs for weight loss like Ozempic and Wegovy. Brianna Sims lost 100 pounds in 2 years.
This medication has done wonders for me.
Many consider GLP-1 drugs miracle fixes for obesity, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. But they've been in short supply. In 2022, the FDA allowed compounding pharmacies to make copycats. And they're cheaper, as low as $165 for some, compared to around $1,000 a month for the patented versions. But the compounded drugs come with higher risk, according to CBS News medical contributor Dr. Celine Gounder.
They're not identical, and these compounded drugs have not been studied for safety and effectiveness in humans.
The shortage now over. Compounders have to stop production.
Ending the shortage and putting some of these compounding pharmacies out of business will limit access for many people.
But one compounder is refusing. The CEO of Hims saying it will keep offering access to personalized treatments. Sims is weighing her options.
I do plan on being on this medication for the rest of my life, then I'll have to see if I could switch to an oral version of the medication or pay out of pocket for the retail price.
And Novo Nordisk, the maker of Ozempic and Wegovy, argues the compounded versions of its patented drugs are dangerous. Dr. Gounder expects this fight to end in the courts. Ali Bauman, CBS News, New York.
And we are coming up on 7:10 here on your Sunday morning. Still ahead, got the latest news out of the Middle East with many hostages that are still to be released from Hamas. Plus, Savannah's back with the full first warn forecast. This is Weekend Mornings.
Well, we're starting Sunday out pretty mild, but we do have a lot of cloud cover in place with some light snow showers, but then later in the day, brief sunshine, and that'll really help boost temperatures. Next week's looking mild Monday through Friday. Monday will be the warmest, and then Friday temperatures are going to slowly get back to a cooler than average pattern as we head into the following weekend. We do have a few chances of snow showers and rain that we're tracking through the week. I think Wednesday right now looks to be the best day. 24 though, very mild. But we are not getting that cloud cover moving out of here, at least for the time being. But later we'll gradually start to see those clouds decrease and then temperatures warm up even more. Most of us are actually going to reach about 39 degrees. The mid to upper 30s are in the forecast. I think a couple places could even potentially top out at 40. We do have a few light snow showers on radar. This is not going to last long or lead to any accumulation at all. With the warming next week, though, and even that we'll see today, we'll start to actually see that snow melt away. So definitely get out and enjoy that while we still do have it, because that was the most that we've seen all winter long. And like I said, couple chances of precipitation as we go through the next couple of days, but I think Wednesday will be the best chance after the clouds move out of here later. Our winds are still out of the south, couple places likely that see the sunshine earlier in the day, so west of Madison will reach the lower 40s, and then temperatures are going to fall a little bit tonight, still going to stay mild out there with lows near the 30-degree mark as clouds increase once again. I think later this afternoon into the evening and tonight, our winds are going to rebound, and we're tracking gusts that are going to potentially reach about 25 to 30 miles per hour. But then, as we're heading into early Monday morning, some patchy fog looks to develop. I do think that's mainly going to be after midnight into early Monday morning, and it's not going to last that long, but visibilities are going to come down a little bit. After that, though, there's a couple more chances. Warmer temperatures, our average high is 34 degrees. So today will be 5 degrees above that. By tomorrow, a couple places may even top out at 50. I think most of us will be confined to the mid to upper 40s, but that's a lot better than what we have seen, especially last week. Last Monday's high, we only reached 6 degrees. That's 41 degrees warmer just 7 days ahead. And then after that, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday will be pretty steady in the mid 40s. That'll continue as we're heading into next week. And though that's when temperatures are going to fall a little bit, and that not even looking that bad. Even those upper 20s, lower 30s are going to be at least close to where we should be. And then for La Crosse, similar as well, 51 up there, so temperatures will be a little bit warmer tomorrow. But nonetheless, both 10 days looking pretty good with mild temperatures heading into the latter half of the work week even too.
All right, Savannah, thank you. On to some more national news that we're following. A deadly hospital shooting took place in York, Pennsylvania on Saturday. Police say a gunman walked into the intensive care unit of the UPMC Memorial Hospital and took medical workers hostage. Officers attempted to confront the gunman, but he held a gun to employee's head and ordered police to get back. Police tried to negotiate with the gunman, but moments later, he stepped into a hallway with his hostage, with officers opening fire and killing him. A police officer died in the shooting, and 5 others were wounded.
Something like this should never, ever happen in your place of work. And we'll continue to work with you, our state and local leaders, to make sure that you have the resources and the services you need to be able to perform your functions.
It is unclear at this time what the motive was, but police say the shooter had contact with the ICU last week involving another individual. Overseas, Hamas released 6 hostages Saturday in the latest exchange with Israel, and these are the last living hostages to be released under the terms of the Phase 1 ceasefire agreement. But there are still hostages being held inside, including one American. Jen Sullivan reports.
Tal Shoham smiling and waving, now a free man after being held captive by Hamas for 505 days. Crowds erupting into cheers. His family watching his release on a screen. Shoham, now 40, was 38 when he was kidnapped by Hamas. He's one of 6 hostages Hamas released Saturday, the last living hostages to be released in the first phase of the Gaza ceasefire deal, in exchange for more than 600 Palestinian prisoners and detainees.
Both sides really had a vested interest in this working.
Family members running to released hostage Omar Shem Tov, emotionally hugging. Of the 6 men released Saturday, 2 of them had been held captive by Hamas for about a decade. Their families celebrating. In Tel Aviv, crowds watching the broadcast of hostages turned over to the Red Cross. But there are still more hostages waiting to be released, like Idan Alexander, the last American hostage alive.
I'm just hoping that he's staying strong and surviving, and his day will come.
Alexander's release would be part of phase 2, but there's uncertainty on whether that phase will actually happen. One Israeli journalist says a lot depends on the Trump administration's influence to uphold the deal.
They must be ready to use their leverage and to put pressure on Netanyahu.
I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
And the exact conditions of the hostages are unknown at this time. Time now is 7:18, still ahead. It's got some sports news and how the Badgers did in Saturday's matchup with Oregon. Plus, here's a look at today's day in history.
We're starting the day off with cloud cover, but temperatures at least are mild. They're going to warm all the way up to the upper 30s this afternoon. Might even see a couple areas top out at 40. That's more likely west of Madison. Those places will see sunshine a little bit earlier. We will eventually see some sunshine here in Madison and most of southern Wisconsin later in the day. Snow showers early and then clearing later, with patchy fog actually developing later in the day. So there's a couple of chances of precipitation over the next couple of days. I think this is our best one Wednesday, and that would for the most part actually come as rain because temperatures Wednesday afternoon and really the next several days going to be very warm. We're tracking 47 tomorrow, and then that day that I said the best chance of precipitation, 45. We might see a few light snow flurries mixing with that, but I really think that's mostly going to come as rain, and then we'll be a little bit cooler heading into next weekend, but even 31 and 29 a lot better than those single-digit highs we had at the start of last week, Kyle.
All right. Thank you, Savannah.
You're welcome.
Oh, and hey, check this out. Police in Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin, they made an unusual rescue the other day. The desperate owner of a dog explained to some officers there that their pup got their head stuck in a jar while trying to retrieve the last milk bone that was lying in the container. The owners tried for an hour to get the jar off as they worked to do all this. They also tried to call their local vet, but the office was closed, so they went here to the police for help. An officer used the tools that you're seeing to free little Murphy from his predicament. Good news there. Well, fans of Rihanna have been waiting for new music for nearly a decade, but they might not have to wait too much longer. In an interview with Harper's Bazaar published on Saturday, the singer and business mogul spoke at length about her next album, saying she just cracked the code on what I really want to do for my next body of work. The Grammy winner acknowledged that she has said similar things in the past when teasing her music, but says she wants to make sure her next album has been worth the wait. She did, however, stop short of providing a time frame for when that wait might finally be over. Got some sports news now. Saturday's matchup between the Badgers and Oregon had the makings of another chapter of what's been a season full of John Chanje takeovers. And for the first half of yesterday's game, it was all Wisconsin and the offense was humming. Chanje had 16 points before the break, but then things really got weird, specifically in the last 6 minutes of the game, which is where we pick things up with these highlights. And Chanje takes it to the cup for 2, giving Wisconsin a 14-point lead. But then the Badgers started to turn things over in the second half. with the Ducks giving a quack back. They make it a 3-point game with less than 20 seconds to go. And what do the Badgers do? Well, they turn it over once again, and this time Oregon turned it into points. And as for Wisconsin, Max Klesmet had a chance to respond but couldn't, having many chances in overtime, but there was just too worn down of a team. So Oregon comes to the Kohl Center and take it 77-73 in overtime, and they applied more pressure than the Badgers could stand. And as for Greg Gard, well, it all comes back to aggression.
We can't get into being a tentative, non-aggressive team. We're really good when we are aggressive, and obviously we stink when we're not.
The pressure maybe gets to us a little bit against those teams that want to get out and deny us and make our lives a little bit more difficult. So, like John said, I think it's a good learning experience for us. We'd rather take this one on the chin now than in March. So, like you said, we're going to learn from it, watch the film, and get better for sure.
And the Badgers will next play the Washington Huskies Tuesday at 8 here in Madison. And still ahead here on Weekend Mornings, got more reaction from the Pope's critical diagnosis. We'll be back in just a bit.